to LinuxGameCast Weekly, the show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. This week, Survival of the Fittest. It's here, and it's complete rubbish. And Steam has 15 VR games for Linux that no one can play.
PC Games N asks if Steam is too powerful. Well, ask a stupid question. And Shovel Knight sells 1 million copies. Dr. Evil nods knowingly.
Saints Row 2 and 3 are here. Praise be to virtual programming for delivering yet another busted quote-unquote port, emphasis on the quotes. And Intel merges Vulkan into mainline Mesa, and now it's literally better to have an Iris Pro than any AMD GPU.
I'm Vince Stone here at LGC Actual, switching the bits, doing this Nightmare Fuel all onto Linux, joined every week by the man up north, not Santa Claus, but
Stop it! Stop it, hand!
Master Sphag, all the way from a very tiring but still good enough to join us. He loves us so much and loves Chatroom Dynamic. Pedro Montes.
Good enough for stretching. Yeah, good enough for stretching it.
And together with Chatroom Dynamic joining us live to help us cook this cocaine Voltron. It's going to be brilliant. Before we get started, we'd like to see what's going on in each other's life organs. I'm just going to start out because my week was going good, but I kind of knew I was going to get screwed because Pedro and Jordan were ganging up on me about this turn-based game. And I was like, damn it. Then, middle of the week, Pedro's like, yep, they gave us more keys. So I just spent the rest of the week in a crushing depression, and I realized my fate. What's up, J-Man?
Yeah, you see, that game is actually called Crack Simulator, a.k.a. Darkest Dungeon. Oh my god, stick it in my veins. I can't stop playing it. I have to stop myself right now because my right hand is going slowly towards the launcher in Steam. And stop it! No! We're recording a show! Stop it!
It's FTL all over again. And I got up at 8 a.m. today. I spent the whole day dealing with other people, most of which I didn't even know. And, well, it was pretty draining. I can't even remember whatever the hell else I did during the week.
Well, something that never forgets what's going on each week, and that is the horse, J-Baby.
And the horse has been transported to another dimension! And inhabiting that same dimension that the horse is, we have Mr. Mike Tehan with the HTC Vive.
What? An HTC Vive? What?
I
What are you doing?
Excuse me, I was playing Glue Stick Simulator 2016.
Oh,
well, I'm glad you're able to take a break from that because we have some questions about the HTC Vive now that we have a cast member with their grubby little mitts on it. So, I think the packaging was a little intense, wasn't it?
Oh, the packaging was awesome. It was probably the best part of the whole Linux experience was the packaging.
Yeah, you posted some pictures out on the G Pluses earlier this week.
So many boxes inside of boxes inside of boxes and little nooks and crannies with cords and chargers to discover. And yeah, it was a good time.
So outside of all the nightmare fuel of the cords and stuff, what does our base HTC Vive come with? Just the 2 controllers and the headset?
2 controllers, a headset, and there's also a converter unit that connects to the HDMI or DisplayPort output of your computer and a USB 3 port. And then kind of bridges those over to the headset.
Wow.
And what about the little cubey things that come with it?
The
lighthouses.
Oh, the lighthouses?
Yeah.
Those actually are pretty much independent. The earlier versions, you had to run a cord between them to get them to sync. The new ones are able to detect each other using moon magic. And as long as they can see each other, they will sync up, and you don't have to do anything other than plug them into power. That part works perfectly
with
too.
the headset.
You mentioned the cables though, so how long are they?
Well, the umbilical for the headset itself, which is this guy right here, is about 25 feet long, and that's the part that you're dragging around behind you while you're stumbling around in VR, or so I've heard. Most of the other stuff comes with power adapters. The lighthouse ones are maybe 10 feet long, so you're supposed to mount it near the ceiling, which gives you enough cord to get to an outlet from the ceiling. The converter box, on the other hand, comes with a pretty short power adapter. I actually had to get a power strip specifically for it. But other than that, not too much to say.
I know
there.
one thing everyone is, everyone wants to praise you for, spending 800 wet stinky caches on this and having the willpower. Well, first, I guess we need to talk about what works out of the box on Linux.
Yeah, after you get it all set up.
Well, when you plug the power into the converter box with the headset turned on, your NVIDIA binary driver will recognize it as a 2160 by 1200 display. That's pretty much it for the Linux experience, though.
Well, I mean, that's good, and that's definitely the only experience you've had, right?
Right.
I have, in fact, set it up on Windows as well, which was a
Burn him.
nightmare.
You're dead to be empty.
Heretic! No, but like there is some functionality if you plug it into a Linux box, is there not?
Yeah, like I was saying, it actually shows up as a display, and it's very strange because it maps the two halves of your monitor to each eye. So you basically move the mouse from left to right, and it starts on the left and moves all the way across your view to the right, and then jumps back to the left and moves to the right again as it's crossing the full screen, which is mapped separately to each eye. Very bizarre experience.
So you just kind of lay there in the comfort of your own home, like seizing. Let's take a look at those controllers, man. How do they work? Do they have batteries in them? Are they controlled by magic?
Okay, the controllers are they read the lasers that the lighthouse sends out, and they use Bluetooth, I believe, to communicate to the headset. They're pretty much completely self-contained. You've got a little charging port, micro USB down on the bottom there. Other
it's not
than
like
that,
the Steam controller that has the AA batteries. It's like,
exactly built-in lipos or lions or something like that. Apparently, you get good battery life. Don't know. Haven't really.
I don't know. I'm actually a little more worried about that because, I mean, if it's built in, its battery memory kicks in, those things go a bit dead. I mean, I guess there's going to be an iFixit on how to get to those critters eventually.
I guarantee you that iFixit will do it. And, I'll bet you that the aftermarket will take care of replacement battery packs.
Well, Maddie wants to know the most important question. Does it vibrate?
It does vibrate, and it actually has the exact same kind of haptic feedback that the Steam controller has.
Mm-hmm.
So while you're moving your thumb on the little, while you're moving your thumb on the little slidey pad here, you actually get that kind of
and that's the same sort of pad that the Steam controller has, right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much identical. It might have a slightly different curve to it, but beyond that, it's the exact same technology.
Well, I know since you've actually committed almost the ultimate treason, but you didn't install Windows on your existing hard drives. You actually loaned some drives or something. We won't get into how that happened.
No.
But what I hear is with the lighthouses, when you're setting up for the room mapping, you just cut those on and just like toss them in corners, right?
Almost.
Okay.
You don't have to run the cable anymore, but it is very important that they be up basically as high as you can get them and aimed down. Now, I have a fairly low ceiling in this room, so I don't think I want to aim, 45 degrees down, but it's important you get it right, or you'll have the same problem that PC World, or what was IGN. IGN was having some problems with their tracking, and it was because they didn't do it right. You can basically skip the instruction manuals, except for that part of the instruction manual. You really need to read their directions and do that part right.
So speaking of your experience with the Vive on Windows, you made an interesting comment earlier about maybe why it's not available on Linux just yet.
Oh man, the Steam VR component on Windows seems like it's pretty solid, so I would imagine that's pretty solid on Linux too. The part that HTC provides is so messed up, and I really hope they get that squared away before they bring it to Linux because it's bad. It's really bad.
Now,
the installer and the drivers, and nightmare fuel.
You have a 780, correct?
Yes.
So
TI, no?
You did get to play it on the Windows. How does the 780 perform?
The Steam VR performance test put it right at the very bottom of the green, VR ready section or whatever. It runs really nicely.
So the 780 is slightly better than the 970 still. So
Yeah, I imagine anyone with a 970 or a 980 will be okay.
Right, and I guess this thing came with some software too, didn't it?
Came with a bunch of games. Have not really experienced them extensively, except for the VR setup part of it, where you map out your room and everything. So, kind of hoping that stuff will come to Linux here before too long. But the Windows experience does not give me too much hope. They've still got a lot of polishing left to do.
All right, well. I don't know, gents. You got any more questions for the man? The myth, the
I
legend?
honestly couldn't tell you because whenever I try to go to the Steam store page for the HTC Vive, I get an "oops, sorry, an error was encountered while processing your request. This item is currently unavailable in your region." So
It's probably because of
Valve,
Portugal.
suck it.
Yeah, because Portugal.
All right, Ben. Anything else?
Man, no, I'm just glad you bought it, and we'll be doing periodic updates, just checking in on you and seeing how it goes. Since you were the sucker, the good person that you are to take the Pepsi challenge on this.
Totally a sucker. They still had the little SteamOS logo when the pre-orders were up. But if you read the actual pre-order page, it definitely just said Windows. It didn't say anything about OS X or Linux. And I was like, well, do I gamble on this? And as usual, whenever I gamble, I lose. So,
But
maybe Mac will get some VR when they're capable of producing an actual computer.
Palmer Lucky, son of a bitch.
all right, well, that's been our little VR minute, as they ought to say. But let's see what's coming up next.
Well, then, you ignorant slut, it's the Steam Works
Update of the
week.
Okay,
Hey.
we were talking about those 15 games, and here's, we now have the VR logo, which is just cruel and unusual punishment from Valve, because we can check for the HTC Vive, support optional, because nothing has support. And Pedro, that Invalor Verstan game, don't you just love that developer who's just like shifting the fuel gold every time he's like, it's still core dumping?
Yeah. And one of the things that actually got me with Envalora Verstan, or however you say it, is that it gives you motion sickness without VR. I can only imagine what it'll do to you in VR.
So it's Cloverfield the game, is what you're saying.
Basically, yeah.
Shaky cam. That's kind of neat, but at least Empty will have things to look on his HTC monitor with the weird cursey mouse things and drool over.
On his Windows drive, even.
Right.
But, I mean, I think it's time to ask the question, Ben. Is Steam too powerful?
No. Steam's just a small, little, tiny company that only a few hundred people use, and that's why they act like that, right?
Right,
That's
and that's why there's a button at the beginning of this article that says "Sign in with Steam." So it's not like it's everywhere. But this is an article from PC Games, and linked to all this stuff's in our show notes. And he posits, well, Steam has sort of become the de facto store for online distribution of games. Is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Well, of course it's a bad thing. There's no competition in that space. But for good reason, if you think about it. I mean, like, Ben, you mentioned in the notes that it's nightmare fuel to even just attempt to do something like this.
Well, I mean, there's a couple things. I mean, Steam is anti-customer service. They want to go full Google with their customer service and be like, phone number, what's that? Never heard of the thing. Even though, you are giving them money and, they're taking a cut off of every single thing there is. But, it's like I was saying, I mean, they're still treating Valve like it's a small little indie company. And, that's definitely my polite way of saying that they give fucking all about the user as long as they're still getting their cut. And kind of like YouTube and the power company, they can do whatevs because, fuck you. That's why. What's your alternative, Brad?
I mean, just the bandwidth cost of that would be nightmare fuel to begin with and make ours look like fucking chump change. And we mentioned before that like the sheer lack of competition is not doing anyone any good, but there aren't any serious contenders for those specific reasons. I mean, GOG doesn't have a Linux client for their Galaxy, whatever the hell it's called, or incremental patching. So you'd have to download all 17 gigs of The Witcher 3
Linux library.
Yeah, well, you got all those wine games, man. Those work flawlessly,
Yeah.
right? So Itch is the other one, but that's primarily a storefront for indie games, and it's supposed to be for indie publishers and like one-man teams and whatnot. Not really going to be a real contender in that sort of Steam space. And Desura, well, we're probably going to get some hate mail for even mentioning that in the same breath. And we got the final two guys, Origin and Uplay.
Yeah, no. I do like the irony of having this article surrounded on both sides by an ad that reads, "Step back into the medieval times in this town building simulation game. Download now. Steam." It's got big, bold download now buttons and the Steam logo on either side of the goddamn article. Dude.
You're goddamn right. But it's time. Some days you just want to go beat up some dinosaurs. Isn't that right, Ben?
No, not really. I thought I did, because Ark Survival of the Fittest has finally made its way over to the Linux. It's early access, free to play, built on Unreal Engine 4. It looks great. If
screenshots.
Yeah, screenshots are one thing.
Wait, hold up. I thought these are screenshots for Dragon the Game. What the hell's going on?
No,
here?
man. Yeah, it does require the Ubuntu equivalent distro, that ever elusive one. And let's talk about I guess I want to say that this is living proof that no matter what fuckery and the fucks given by the developers of just like barfing out a build for Unreal Engine 4, it manages to run. I'll give it that, but you're definitely, as soon as you go into an options menu, you're down to between 1 and 7 frames per second, and that's on a 980. And this thing wants to consume all the RAM. I managed to, spend a good 10 minutes customizing my character, not because I was spending that much time customizing my character. It just took that much time between frames. It's a janky, hot mess, and it's populated by the type of people who love free-to-play games. I don't even know what the game's about. Pedro?
Yeah, this isn't the Ark Survival Evolved that the name sort of points at. This is basically what H1Z1 and the culling are doing. If you're a Windows gamer or a filthy dual booting heathen, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a battle arena, as it were, where you just get a whole bunch of people into a lobby and then you get dropped into the game zone and you basically have to survive. That's sort of the same thing that DayZ standalone is also doing while they still haven't finished the game, and you can actually see the pattern of what they're doing. They release the battle arena mode first, so if the full game turns out to be a bust, hint hint, it's going to happen, they'll have something with some reasonable mass appeal to it to fall back on.
Yeah, I mean,
basically 2 games for the price of 1.
They haven't even released Ark proper yet, and they have a new game in early access. It's brilliant. It's this never-ending cycle of shit. I actually spent some time playing Ark Survival Evolved, and that thing ran like ass under Linux. Ben saw my experience with that, choppy as it was. And
my experience with this one wasn't that bad. I was able to play long enough with the FERPs in the high 50s on the high preset for a solid 2 minutes before dying from some bullshit spear throw from halfway across the map. No.
Well, it's definitely one thing that you got to think about is I never got in game because I waited for like 2.5 minutes for it to load, and I was like, you know what? Don't care. Alt F4, done.
But it's time to live long and prosper, Ben.
Hey man, this is a thing. The Talos Principle. Update 26.2010 public beta. It's out. Basically, the only thing you're going to care about this business is they've optimized the live long and prosper, man. I mean, the Vulkans have been updated. I played around to it. Basically, like everyone does. They just immediately run to it and is like, let's bench it, see if it's better. The benchmark for me, using not the absolute newest NVIDIA sauce, but the previous one for that, it's within 1 or 2 frames per second of what I was getting previously. But one thing I did notice is as soon as it launched, the demo used to start, somewhere in the low 70s. Now it starts out in the high 80s. Pedro, you had a little similar experience with this.
Yeah, I did. It's the new Vulkan improvements that they did it made the whole benchmarking process a hell of a lot better and a hell of a lot smoother. I am actually using the latest NVIDIA Vulkan drivers, and Steam also released an update which fixed the overlay performance impact, or so they claim, which I'm actually tempted to agree that since the performance impact with the overlay is around, well, in and around 2 FERPs, which that's right in the realm of negligible, considering we're talking high 80s on average, and I'm getting like 89 FERPs on average with the new Vulkan drivers and this new Talos update.
Yeah, I haven't got a chance to do that because Darkest Dungeon has consumed my life, and I'm in a dark void that I can't escape. Please send help.
Well, something that definitely needs help, Pedro.
Yeah, I don't so much need help as I want to escape the dark void that is virtual programming taking over any and all ports that I might even reasonably be interested in. Yes, this is Saints Row the Third and Saints Row 2, which are now available for Linux through the goddamn Eon wrapper, which...
Pedro. Remember when Deep Silver got a bunch of those THQ intellectual properties and they ported Metro and were like, oh my god, it's great, we're gonna get Saints Row and all these friggin' THQ games on Linux, it's gonna be amazing, and then it never happened.
Yeah, because I actually have Saints Row the Third from a Humble Bundle from a while back. Performance goes anywhere from 130 FERPs inside while you're inside somewhere to 30 the moment you walk outside. I had to restart the game twice in the 58 minutes I played it because the entire game engine would lock, except for my character. I could still move around, but everything else was just frozen. So, and judging by, I actually made a post about this on Chatroom Static, and Strider, you know, Matthew Commandant, he came in and said, yeah, that also happens with Saints Row the Fourth, which was that other Eon Saints Row game that we already had. Which means this is just another reason why Eon is complete and utter shit. Thanks, Linux community. Thanks to certain Care Bears in you, we now have to put up with shit like this on games we might have actually enjoyed otherwise.
Oh man, Care Bears in You is a brilliant show title. I need to suggest that.
Definitely one thing. I first learned with the Witcher port with Eon, and that was just the most epic discussion thread. That one poor guy who was like, oh, he was going to defend it, and it was one of the developers from virtual programming. But it comes on later to find I was like, Eon. I was like, Eon. It was a buddy of mine, Mac user. He was like, yeah, they really wreck Mac games too. I was like, okay, right on. Yeah. But I wouldn't know because it might taste like pumpkin pie. Not going to play the filthy animal. I mean,
I might, just because I played Saints Row 2 on the Xbox 360 back when it came out. I really, really, really enjoyed that game, so I might pick it. I might run it for nostalgia purposes, because I mean, I bought these games years and years and years ago, back when I was a filthy dual-bending heathen, so I can sort of play them on the Linux now. Yay! But here, all I really have to say is, remember when we were promised native versions of Saints Row 4 and Get Out of Hell, and then that never happened? Thanks, THQ. Or thanks, Deep Silver. Go fuck yourselves. But makes me want to die in 7 days. Just like that one movie with the creepy little girl. You know, Tom and Jerry, the movie. But yeah, they have a new alpha out. It's 14.5, and they have a couple fixes in there. Some interesting notes, including that now our long national nightmare is over. When you close the hatch, it makes a more satisfying ka-chunk noise. But they do make some mention of, if you're having issues with the game starting up, you got to clear out your C drive, which is very useful advice for everyone on Linux. You just got to clear out your C drive every once in a while.
I don't know, man. I was seeing this, and the main reason I wanted to put this in here: 7 days to die. I think they sent us. You know, it was like, hey, you know, you want to play the game? And we went back and we're like, there's no Linux version. Then they got a Linux version, then we got some keys for it, and it has been legendary for just like running like rusted arse all over the Linux. And It is still in early access, but stay tuned, because for those of you who haven't heard the news, Telltale Publishing, in conjunction with the Fun Pimps, are bringing 7 Days to Die to both consoles. Jordan, riddle me this. How do you release an early access game on the consoles again?
Well, interestingly enough, what you do is every couple of weeks you ship a new disc to Electronics Boutique and whatnot. So you have to go and pick up a new disc every single week to get your updates.
Well, the console experience isn't exactly what it used to be back in the day, and that's what sort of made it appealing, which is just you put the disc in and everything runs. No, now when you put the disc in, you have to install it, just like you would on a PC, and then you have
you also have to blow on it a bunch. That's the other thing.
Yeah, and then you have to patch it, like you have to do on PCs. So I think what the console scrubs need to get is that they're basically just PCs nowadays, and if we have to deal with the bullshit that is early access in its current form, so do they.
Except they don't have Steam refunds, which is fantastic. But up next, well, Ben thought it was something else. Totally. I just got to tell him to keep his hands off my whiz stick, because this is Wand Wars. And no, it's not the fun kind of Wand Wars. This is, much like that Wand Wars, it is local multiplayer only. You can't really, it's more difficult to play it over the internet, let me tell you. And we have tried. But this is a game in the vein of Towerfall, in the vein of Nidhogg and whatnot, where you basically have multiplayer couch versus to see who can kill each other with magic. They have a single player mode, but no one's ever going to touch that. And this honestly looks like it would make a really fun party game. You can see the video playing when Ben's cutting to that screen. If you're an audio listener, well, go watch the video version on YouTube. Give us those views, man. Give us the views.
I don't know. I mean, after watching the video, it's a party game. Okay, maybe we need more party games. Granted. I mean, it genuinely does look like a highly polished student project game before they, took online multiplayer 101, because something like this is like, what about? But local multiplayer only. Also,
but Ben, you're missing the most crucial part. There's an original soundtrack full of magic and wub.
No, this game is just basically Lethal League with wizards. It's the exact same mechanics. All they did was change the graphics to be slightly more pixely, and instead of people swinging basketball bats and golf clubs and umbrellas to smack other people with a baseball, well, now you're casting spells, or basically you're just refracting the exact same fireball back and forth.
Okay, well, riddle me this, Pedro. What if it was Lethal League with lizards?
I might actually want to play that.
Look, then I tell you need to keep your hands off my Liz stick. But up next,
it's time to gear up. That's the thing. Kind of missed this last week. I think, Pedro, you mentioned it to me, correct?
Yep.
I got around to playing with it. They basically said, well, we did some updates to it. What's Gear Up? You never heard about it. Feel the adrenaline. It basically, you drive around in tanks and shoot people, and it's priced to sell it free and pay to win at $9.99. And really, if you want to kick some arse, it's $19.99. Well, for the first time since the game's inception in 2012 under Linux, it's playable. And I don't have to put quotations around that. I mean, it's not Nightmare Fuel. It launches. It doesn't jack up the desktop. The dribble control for the tank turrets and all that actually work, and there's not the interesting lag that Pedro and I's first experience was like we were too busy laughing trying to shoot each other to have a serious game, man.
Yep, and the reticle was basically just shaking around the entire time. But you mentioned that you were surprised to had an active online player base. Mm-hmm. According to Steam charts, that's been dwindling. It peaked out somewhere around April 2015, and it's basically just been coming down consistently from then on. Most of the people who are currently playing the game are pissed at the lack of content and or any kind of progression in the game.
Get what you pay for.
Yeah. Also, apparently the matchmaking is fucked.
TIL, this game still exists. Wow, that's good for you guys. But coming up next, we start off with some Intel driver news. What? That's impossible. Intel doesn't have drivers at all.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is usually that time where we would have some news for you, but we have some even better news. Some people have actually kicked us a few shackles.
I thought this was the good news about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Well, no, it's about our Lord and Savior Cocaine Voltron.
Xenu.
Hey man, I've been touched by his noodly appendage, and you can too at linuxgamecast.com/support-the-chosen, where you can touch all those appendages with those Amazon affiliate links that you can just click on and go to Amazon and buy stuff. You can buy your 50-gallon drum of lube. Doesn't matter because we get a little cut and it doesn't cost you a damn thing. We got the UK one and the US, so you have no excuse. I mean, we're bad about it too because we can use the links when we order stuff on Amazon to give us free money, and we don't. So be better than us. We also got our PayPal buttons if you don't feel like dealing with the Patreons. But of course, there is always the Patreons at patreons.com/LinuxGameCast, where we have some brand new folks who are tossing money at us. We got Phil N, Joseph C, and Random ASCII, aka Gingy, upped their donation. So good on them for that. We appreciate all the support. It helps us run this train wreck because hosting is expensive, not unlike dragons. And considering we have to pay for dragons as well, it just adds way the fuck up. We got some goals that we're gonna fulfill if we hit specific levels. And the next one, as always, is making me play Serious Sam 3. So if you're tired of hearing me talk all happy and just want me to be bitter and shitty the entire time, get us to $200 and you will get to see that. Ven, you got anything else you want to add on?
Hey, man, I just want to thank everyone. Really, genuinely, the most important thing you can do. We want to get those numbers. We definitely want to hit like 100 and get some coin behind it, because there's nothing like rattling the cage of like, well, look, hey, there's some support here. Maybe you should start thinking, we can tell you can get this many cells and all that. But the most important thing you can actually do, money be damned, is share. Share the show. Share the distortion. Because I know what you're thinking. Oh, man, I got like 12 followers on the Twitter nets. Doesn't matter. I mean, I found some of the most entertaining, best shows, like people I follow on the G+, on the Twitter nets, not so much on the Facebuds. And they've just shared random things that I would have never known about. So think about that. Doesn't cost you a dime. And, hey, man, help keep this Nightmare Fuel independent. Because we really don't want to go, here's a Casper mattress. Buy it.
Yeah, it spies on your spouse, so you know when they're coming home with other people. It's good times.
Let's get
into the friendliest ghost.
Right. Let's get into some actual news, and it is, as is tradition, we start off with some drivers.
Yeah, but it's no NVIDIA drivers. This is for Mesa, and if you head on over to mesamatrix.net, you can see some lovely green all the way down that Radeon SI column up until the OpenGL 4.3 section, because as of, what was this? The 18th? I don't even know. What time is it? What year is this?
4 days ago. 4 days ago at the time of recording.
Yeah, at the time of recording. Not April 13th, but whatever. Radeon SI has full OpenGL 4.2 support and almost complete OpenGL 4.3 support. So if you're one of those poor bastards on a Radeon card who wants to run something newer than a 2.4.12 kernel, we got you, man. You can just build this, compile it, install it. It's great. Now, this is fantastic for those of you who have newer Radeon cards, but you got to remember, the performance is not there. Maybe Mesa should focus a bit on the performance tuning, but I guess they got to make sure that they have feature completeness for everything before that. But speaking of Mesa, Pedro, I hear Vulkan, or I hear Intel is embracing logic.
Intel has finally pushed their open source Vulkan drivers onto the mainline kit for Mesa. So if you build it from source right now and you have one of those cheapo laptops with a Bay Trail or anything newer from then on, you get Vulkan with your Intel, what do they call it? Integrated graphics.
HD, whatever it is.
The only thing I'm hearing is I want everyone, does the Serious Sam, not Serious Sam, I'm dreaming Vulkan support
Talos
pro team,
Principle.
call me. Let's get it done. Yeah, Talos Principle. Will that work now with the Vulkan sauce, or maybe no?
No, because the Intel drivers, well, I don't know. Okay. Honestly, I don't really know, because OpenGL-wise, the Intel drivers do not support the Talos Principle, because the Talos Principle needs OpenGL 4.3 compliance, which Intel does not have in Mesa.
You can sort of force the version string for Mesa.
You can force GLSL 1.5. Yeah.
So what I'm curious though is you mentioned that Bay Trail got included, but they did mention when they released the Vulkan driver initially that they have experimental support for like the Sandy Bridge, Ivy Bridge, and some of the older integrated graphics. Is that not mainlined with this as well, or?
Yeah, it is. It supports everything that they said was available at the time of release and that they would eventually had. It actually supports all of those. If you go to the, you can actually look at the commit itself. They have commits for, like I said, basically anything from Bay Trail and up, which includes like Ivy Bridge and even the new Sky Lake. Yeah.
So let's just put this in perspective. AMD has a Vulkan driver that you got to compile yourself. What kind of video cards does it support?
The R9 385, the Fury X, and the Fury Nano.
Can I run it on my APU?
No.
See, Intel has beaten AMD at integrated graphics. Yeah. All right,
it's literally at this point, you're literally better off with an Intel Iris Pro than an R9 390 or an R9 290.
That's good. Let's sing the Doom song, Pedro.
Doom, 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 doom. Nope. It's Doom 3. And it's an actual proper overhaul, as it were, from ModDB. Links for all of this stuff will be in the show notes as usual. It's Doom 3 Redux version not .95b, and it basically overhauls a lot of stuff. They didn't change the gameplay at all. They just basically redid the entire texture base, and they redid the lighting and sound design for weapons, audio logs, everything. The audio logs actually have they include like headshots of the person who recorded the actual audio log. They added a bunch of immersion stuff, and also the graphics improvements. They include like FXAA and some anisotropic filtering and a whole bunch of other stuff that the vanilla version wouldn't allow you to tweak. Now you can. Now, I didn't actually get a chance to try this with Doom 3, but I will at some point.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking at that. Everything you said plus that, I downloaded it and I went, wait. I never got around to getting the...
It's a RAR file.
It's a RAR file. There's nothing in there outside of like dropping it in, setting the plus command variable to launch it. Maybe someone in chat room. If you're watching this on the YouTubes or the Patreons, or if you just want to send us some hate mail, do it that way and let us know if this works, because this is going to be in the show notes. Download it. It's about 1.2 gigajoules to download. The lighting thing I'm kind of interested in because it was neat when Doom originally came out on the Linux. And, this is something, hey, man, since we're not getting Doom on Linux for once, even though we're getting Street Fighter 5 and, I finished Shadows of Hordor, but we're not getting a Doom title.
Because Bethesda.
Jordan.
Yeah, I just love the attention AMD users bolt in there. Let's just keep kicking AMD while they're down, because it's just way too much fun.
All right. Well, let's talk about something that actually could run the Doom beta if you wanted it to, because there's a little experimental support. But this is Lutris, open gaming platform.
It's never Lupus, Ben. It's never.
I'm just telling you, man. Omelette du fromage. Serious Sam the Second Encounter. This is a thing that you can install. Well, Lutris now, from Frenchie, Strider in Chatrealm, he's put this together, he's scripted it up, and it technically works. Technically, it launches. It's a thing. If you're ever thinking about getting Serious Sam 1 and Serious Sam 2, the Second Encounter, go over to Good Old Games right now, or GOG, as they want to be called. GAR, whatever. That's for a different time.
Oh my God!
Sounds like
man.
you're shoving something down
Right.
your throat.
But you can pick up 1 and 2 and a discounted bundle package for less than £8. I installed Lutris for the first time, relatively painless, on the Ubuntu 14.04 box. Got that. It's going to ask you to point at your good old game installer. You do that, and it launches. And it took... I'm running separate X displays for the 3 monitors. It took the 4K monitor to something I never imagined possible, and it was a treat to see. It scaled it full screen at 640 by 480. The pixels were mind-blowing.
Did your eyes bleed?
Slightly, yes.
Well, so interestingly enough, our good pal who was previously on in this very show, sucking all those virtual dicks, Mr. Mike Tehan, was part and parcel with getting this up and running on Lutris. This is using the entire native open source release of the Sirius engine, so good on him for that. Yeah. So
Yeah,
big ups up to
Rohit in chat realm was actually saying that he'd love to make some 64-bit fixes to the Sirius SAM source code, but Iculus already made them. So yeah, we can look forward to
that's
that.
what's been keeping him busy for the past couple weeks, going over
Yeah.
19-year-old year code he wrote. It's just nightmare fuel. But PC gaming's dead, you guys.
It is, man.
As it's been since the 90s.
Stick a fork in it. It's done. This is from Game Sutra. And this is from David D'Angelo from Yacht Club Games. You may have heard of them. They put out a little game called Shovel Knight. We threw some chairs at it a while ago. And they just broke 1 million copies, which is pretty damn good for an indie game, considering this was funded on Kickstarter. So this is sort of a breakdown of per platform.
I love this. Canada. It's just games.
Yeah, I love going to Canada and shopping.
Right.
Like you said, Ben, everything's 25% off.
Everything's
except if
25%
you
off.
live there. All right, enough of that. But Ben, you were a bit shocked about some of the distribution mediums, weren't you?
Well, I mean, I think you might have corrected me on this. The biggest thing I took away from this, good on those lot. That was genuinely one of, if not the first hipster pixel game that was like, you got it right, Brad. You got it right. You got the tight controls. You got the Nintendo hard, but still winnable. Doing a good job, and it wasn't like a 6 gig download for a hipster pixel game. Definitely enjoyed it. What did shock me, what Jordan was alluding to, is that they actually had physical retail. I mean, they sold it in Best Buy, Walmart, and the Canada store.
Yes. Yes, you just can't go anywhere in Canada without walking into a boxed copy of Shovel Knight. No, so they had a lot of tie-ins. This is a very popular game on Nintendo, actually. You can pick it up for the Wii U and the 3DS. And if you bought a physical copy, you got a Shovel Knight amiibo, which is one of their little figures that you can use in Smash Bros. To train up AI fighters and whatnot, which is kind of neat. But one interesting thing that they brought up in this article was that they plan on introducing and putting out more and more content for this game. I think they're either recently put out or are about to put out a expansion involving the character Plague Knight. And they say they're going to start adding more and more campaigns. And this is actually pretty good for long-term support, right? Because you develop your core fan base very slowly. And then as you have more and more content for this game, it goes on sale on like a Steam sale. It's like, oh, by the way, we have like 16 full campaigns for this. So it's going to take you a year to go through this entire game. And it's only $8. And your bargain hunter's going to be like, well, that's a lot of game for not a lot of money. So there you go.
Yeah.
Plus
and
you can
the new
plus you
expansion
can have a
is
new
called
media
The
blitz.
Plague of Shadows.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go on.
No, I mean,
after you
this is
finish
one of the... Seriously? But yeah, this is one of those games that actually debunks that whole theory of the indie apocalypse, which was actually started around late 2015, which is this theory that the indie market is currently so saturated that basically you either make something really good or you just won't sell. Well, duh. You don't say.
Well, then I got a question for you.
Mhm.
Do you want to build a console?
Oh man, we just had to throw this in here because Not that anyone in chat room or anyone watching this after the fact would be stupid enough to buy this, because it's from Indiegogo, the place where you go when you don't have a functioning prototype, but you have really bad 3D renders and you still want to crowdfund because Kickstarter requires you to have an actual product.
Yep.
The 64, a 64 Commodore 64 computer, and a handheld console, both poorly rendered. They want 150,000 flexible wet stinky caches, which means they're going to yoink whatever they can get and just keep it. C64 portable sounds neat. Another C64, nope, don't even care about that. Let's see. Handheld version,
It comes with 2 joysticks, man.
Right.
You can have one in each hand and double fist it.
And if you want to have sexy time with their family, 2800, the only scale model console version, modified by the artist. Yeah, no, never going to happen. HDMI out, mini USB power socket, cartridge slot, full keyboard, function keys, and really poor 3D rendering. How many morons? 98 morons have currently backed this at 23,000. What stinky caches? Jordan, put your wallet away. No, stop. Don't order it.
I'm sorry, I had to stop
hit
myself there from
refresh.
launching Darkest Dungeon, not buying this, because if I wanted to waste my money, I could just not go to work and play Darkest Dungeon and get fired and not have money, as opposed to spending money on this.
Yeah, I just refreshed the page. It's currently at 104 backers. So that should
104
tell you
morons, Pedro. Morons.
whatever. The thing is, if you want to spend stupid amounts of money on nostalgia stuff, just buy the actual new and improved Commodore 64, which comes with an Intel i7 built into the keyboard case, as it were. So, yeah, no.
No, but you can get a scale replica that does the exact same thing for 300 times the price.
It's
But-
thick and all.
Coming up next, we see if we can beat the fastest typist in Chiswick, because we are typing and tapping away at Epistory. This week, we're throwing chairs at a game that's hilarious to play while you're drunk. This is Epistory, Typing Chronicles from Fish and Cactus, developed on the Unity engine. And you can pick it up for around 15 of your regional currency. It's about what it costs. And what is it? Epistory immerses you in an atmospheric action-adventure game where you play as a girl riding a giant fox. I want to stop right there before I get flagged by the FCC now. Who fights an insectile corruption from an origami world. As you progress and explore this world, the story literally unfolds. The mysteries of the magic powers of the words are revealed. And full disclosure, these guys did send us some keys. Good on them for that. We love you. But they still got to face the chairquisition. 1 chair means that it's garbage. 2 chairs means that it's marginal. 3 chairs means that it's pretty good. 4 chairs means that it's amazeballs. So, folks, Ben, does this game make with... Oh, yeah, we also got a categories of doom. How about that? Makes with the working,
Oops.
shiny sounds, controls, and fun. I have been doing this for 3 years. What the fuck am I talking about? Ben, does this make with the working?
I just thought I'd throw that in there at the end. How does it make with the working on the Ubuntu 1404? 8150, slightly overclocked to 4.0 gigajoules. 980 powered 4K displayed box of the business. Well, the first thing you're going to notice, Brad, is the Unity screen of nope. But, boom, you're just going to lose a chair for that. Sorry. New rule. After you get through with that, you just know that the in-game options are going to basically consist of volume sliders. And lo and behold, the only options you have in this, Brad, volume sliders. That's pretty much it. Originally, I thought this game was locked at 60 FERPs on the 980 because VSync, I was reading in the discussion forums and like, yes, we've added VSync. And I was like, you didn't add an option for it. But it turns out if you cut this thing down to fugly on a 980, it'll get up to about 70 FERPs because it sure as fuck and all struggles to maintain 60 at 1080p. Such a peasant resolution, a low resolution, again, on the 980. And one thing that kind of threw me off, which I really wish they would add, is it's a typing game. It only has American English. And I was like, could you please add English? Because I like throwing in random U's into words. But I'm going to give it 3 chairs.
And by the way, that was words and chairs both spelt with U's. Yeah, seriously, you guys. Unity screen, come on. It's 2016 now. I thought we're over this shit. -1 chair. And I mean, this thing, I mean, it looks pretty. We'll get to that a little later, but it struggles to maintain 60 at 1080. And there's some serious stuttering issues, especially when there are cinematics. It's pretty miserable. Not enough to ding it that second chair, but it gets 3 whole chairs.
On what?
On the i7-6700K NVIDIA GTX 980 powered box of business with the 4K monitor. I didn't even bother trying to play this at 4K. It's not happening. Ugh. Nightmare.
You see, I'm pretty sure this is either a Unity 3 or one of the early Unity 4 versions, because it has one of those stupid locale based bugs that if you have a non-English locale defined in your Linux distribution, the game's physics will just go apeshit. Quite literally. I mean, to the point where if you hit shift for the Fox to do, the little sprinty bits, it will just start going so fast you can't see anything, you can't control it, you can't do anything, you just have to hope that it hits a wall and stops, because it's impossible to control it otherwise. There is a way around it, which is when you add LC_all equals C, a command percentage to the Steam launch options. But that didn't fix the other issues I ran into. You see, at the start of Chapter 2, you have to go into the drowned halls and unlock the ice power. The ice power allows you to break those bits of floor that have some teeny tiny icy bits on them. It's the usual stuff for this kind of game, and it didn't work. You literally cannot progress past the second chapter because of that. The game is broken, and I know it's broken because I'm not the only one. If you go to their Steam community forums, you'll see the very first thread that shows up is actually a bunch of people complaining about this. And review time's here, and they still haven't fixed it. So, on the FX 8370E overclocked at 4.2 GHz with the GTX 970 Strix running on Fedora 2364-bit, it gets 1 chair.
Yeah, I too ran into the typing issue in the Drowned Temple, but we'll get to that in the fun segment. That's 2 chairs for Mix with the Working. Up next is Shiny and Sounds.
Well, what does the fox say? More importantly, what does the fox look like? Because remember, this has like 90 tails on this fox, because don't sue a Sega. That's a thing. The overworld is fuck mothering gorgeous. Let's just get that out of the way. I mean, the tiles, the way it lays out, and, the scratchy, scribbly writing. I was like, oh, that's really beautiful. The monsters are like, meh. Then you have your dungeons, your underworld bits. They look all right. Progressively, some are hit or miss. Nothing bad, nothing to hate on. Really bright color palette on top of the overworld. Surprising to see. When it comes to what it sounds like, the voice works there. The last that was reading it, it's well done. You're reading a story, but still very competent, and you don't really have much in the way of sounds. I mean, there's a little bit of background music, and there's that pew or whatever when you actually manage to type a word correctly, which is a hit or miss. The one thing I'm going to have to ding it a chair on is I don't complain about the jaggies. I don't complain about lack of anti-aliasing, but when I do, that means it's really bad, and this is really bad, even on the beautiful setting, and there's no option for it whatsoever. It doesn't exist. So, not 4 chairs, because I clicked the wrong button. How about 3 chairs? Ha ha ha.
That's about as accurate as he has an Epistory. So let's get that out of the way. Shiny and Sounds. Yeah, I really like the origami style. It's a very nice visual aesthetic, which really holds together up until you hit the area or you hit that spot where it reveals the next bit of the map you got to traverse on. As it unfolds, it stutters, and you get so much jaggies. Oh man, the jaggies all over the place. So it looks like you will literally get like paper cut to death if you were a regular person walking on that land. But yeah, other than that, the art style is really, really good looking, and the voice acting. Yeah, that lady sounds like she's reading a story. Boy, does she read it. The text shows up and she says the words, and she sounds like someone reading. So I mean, for what that is, it's competently done. And yeah, of course, there's the pew pew sound effects. That's very, very much with the pew. I'll give that 3 chairs.
Yeah, seriously, where the hell is the anti-aliasing? And why can't I disable depth of field? Because the only type of aliasing you get is just the shitty blur effect that you get around the borders of the screen. Why can't I disable that? Seriously. I mean, like Vin and Jordan already mentioned, the art style is very well done, even if the monsters look a bit anachronistic in this particular world, because everything seems to be made of paper, including the girl and the fox. But the monsters, well, let's just say I'm pretty sure I've seen some of those monsters in McDroid. Yeah, those are probably assets. But, you know, for the shiny and the sounds are actually spot on as far as the pew pews get a bit annoying after a while, especially if you are doing one of the game's interpretations of boss fights and basically all you can hear is the pew pews going off. They get a little bit annoying after a while, but not enough to ding it more than 1 chair, so 3 chairs.
Actually, during the boss fights, all I can hear is the clacking of my mechanical keyboard. But that's 3 chairs for shiny and sounds. Speaking of keyboards, how about control, Ben?
Clackety clack clack. I grew up with a mechanical keyboard, so you can just die in a fire. As soon as they got quiet, I was like, oh, thank you, sir. I'll have me some of that. Pro tip, this does not work with my Nintendo Power Pad. Completely distraught about that, but I'm going to try to get over it. It's a typing game. It's going to work with the keyboard organ. Kind of hard to screw that up. They didn't really screw that up. When you first start, you're like, oh, this is bullshit, because they try to get you on the home keys to control, and they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, you can use WAS. And I was like, oh, you just saved yourself right there, Brad. Really, the only complaint I have is maybe it exists. I couldn't find it. Pedro, do you know, is there a way to control the camera in this?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. Brilliant. Because, you know, sometimes it's like something wouldn't line. I didn't even know that was there because I couldn't see it. And, you know, 90% of the time, the camera is on spot. But it's at 10% of the time, we're like, all right, got to go to the overworld map, which, you know, until you upgrade that ability, which we'll be talking about later on, requires, you know, hitting tab, which is really bad for a menu item in a typing game if you're just asking me about it. But nothing to complain about outside of lack of camera control, so I'm going to give us a solid 3 chairs in that department.
Yeah, seriously, how the hell am I supposed to play this game on my Steam controller? How am I supposed to sit back on my couch and play it with the areolas? No, I mean, come on, guys. It's nice that they actually give you a few options on how to move. You can use your WASD, you can use the arrow keys, which I'm sure Pedro is ecstatic about. But they also give you an option. You can use EF and IJ to navigate, and boy, that control scheme will give VI some nightmares. Let me tell you. Once you unlock sprint, I'm like, oh man, this is gonna go fast, because I saw Pedro's notes like, oh yeah, you'll zoom. No, it's you very slightly pick up the pace and move a teensy smidge faster. Which, I mean, doesn't really help you in combat because you have to stay put in order to type the words to murder things. But like Ben said, it's a typing game. As long as it interprets your key presses, I do not see how you could get anything less than 3 chairs.
Yeah, it honestly interprets your key presses just fine. I realized that whenever it did miss something was not because it wasn't actually registering my inputs, it's just because I had pushed the wrong key, so my bad on that. But if I actually had to pick at the nits on the controls, is that even though the mouse doesn't get any use outside of the menu navigation, because again, you have absolutely no camera control, they couldn't figure out how to hide the cursor in the game proper. Mm-hmm. So you'll get out of the menu and there's the mouse cursor. It's easy to hide, which, again, leads me to believe this is done with either Unity 3 or one of the early versions of Unity 4. Still, the controls for what they are, they work until they don't. So, 4 chairs.
All right, that's 3 cheers for control. And finally, fun. Ben, did you have fun playing Mavis Bacon teaches pyrokinesis?
Yes, I actually did. Well, you got to put yourself in the proper mindset because you got to remember that, I mean, this is a game for kids. Circle. Some people will get that. Or adults who genuinely hate themselves because we've all learned how to touch type very fastly. I never thought I would actually rage quit a typing game. But here we are, ladies and gentlemen, and that definitely happened more than once. Not really rage quit. In my old age, it's more of a very stern Alt F4. Being a Unity game, that nopes like a champ. That kind of first happened during the first dungeon when you get your first real baddie swarm, and I was like, damn it, this is getting serious. And it's kind of complicated because I have a 28-inch 4K displayed monitor, and when you're typing these words, they're not right in front of your fucking eye organs. They're all over the place, and you're like trying to go gecko vision on these things and pick them up. That can be a bit challenging. And it's kind of fun though. I mean, when I say challenging, not bad type of challenging, but definitely the fun type of challenging. One thing that it's kind of hard with me, I kind of had that epiphany last night when we were recording Trying Again, is, I maybe you can kind of pick that up. I put a pneumatic nail gun through my hand when I was doing some laboring.
The entire nail gun?
Yes, I mean, it went clean through. So I only have, if I'm being generous, maybe 8 to 10% feeling in it. Most of it's over here. So, yeah, I always have to do a cursory glance down to the keyboard to get my home keys, but once those are established, so that was a new level of challenging. Found it fun, because at the end of the day, take that shot. I mean, this game made me squint. It was like, all right, fucker, let's go. We're going to do this. I mean, it brought me back to it a couple of times, but and again, I'm in the mindset of like, okay, if I'm learning how to type and doing all that, even as an adult, big ass air quotes over that, I found it was all right. Maybe a little bit on the high side in the price, but definitely, if not the best, even though it's a little broken, but they're working on the updates. Typing instructor for the Linux, and that's probably another conversation for another time, but I was kind of curious. I wonder if I could play this, like, with a remote, with my thumbs on a mobile, because I'm probably type faster with my thumbs than I can currently type with a keyboard, but I like it. I got some extra thoughts that I'll reserve for our final thoughts, but yeah, for fun, I'm going to give it a 3.
Yeah, man, I haven't had this much stress typing since my DCN 3D6 final, and that was a 15-page essay that I had to complete in 2 hours. Well, see, my problem is that I got to read what's on screen, and because all the words are everywhere on this giant ass 28-inch monitor in front of my face, I occasionally start typing the second word in the chain that you're supposed to type instead of the first one. And yeah, when dozens of things are piling at you, it's a very quick way to get killed to death. And my fingers kept defaulting to WAS, which kept giving me some delay when I was hammering out words. And at one point, I actually had to type "wow, wow, 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 wow" in order to unlock a chest. I mean, it's a typing game. I never really enjoyed like typing tutor games like Mavis Beacon and whatnot. I mean, it does a semi-competent job up until you get to the water temple. Everyone loves water temples in games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except this one has a nasty bug where you need to type 2 things in rapid succession in order to progress, but it doesn't let you type the second thing. I was talking with Pedro earlier. He ran into that bug a lot later than I did, but it's still in the same location. Yep. And at that point, I put the game down because clearly I put in more effort in playing this game than anyone attempted to QA this game. But I mean, yeah, you type words, they show up on screen. It basically just becomes a giant clusterfuck of how fast can you type. And Ben brought up a very good point last night while we were recording Trying Again. If you slow down, the game becomes easier because I'm just hammering out words and then they just start sending more shit at me. I don't know. I didn't like this game. It's not my cup of chainsaw. I'll give it 1 share, man. It's not good.
Actually, I thought I actually enjoyed this game. This is the kind of game that will teach you the meaning of hippopotamonstrosesquipedaliophobia. Or should I say it would if you could progress past chapter 2, because like Jordan already mentioned, the game is broken. You cannot pass the drowned halls, and this is very much an issue. What this game does do is bring out the vituperator in me. Pair that with my inherent corporalia, and you'll probably think whatever deity you worship, I'm cutting the fun segment a bit shorter than usual, just like the developers did when they cocked up this game. 1 chair.
All right, so that's 1 chair for fun. And if we total all this up, we get a 2-chair game, which is not sure if want on the chairometer. The chairometer? Whatever. try spelling that in Epistory. So, gentlemen, final thoughts.
I don't know. I mean, ultimately, I wanted to play this because I had pulled up our YouTube demographics for what they're worth. And pretty much the average trend we have in there is the ages between 25 and 45. We're all old. Let's just get over it. And I'm bringing that up because, if you don't already have kids, maybe you know kids. That's not creepy to know, like, nieces and nephews and all that. And you don't like them. So you buy them a game that teaches them things. And this will hopefully teach them 2 things. That, A, you probably need to do a little more QA on your damn game before you ship it on Linux, unlike these people manage not to. And the second one is, I don't know. I mean, it's an all right game. I have hope for this game. I want to have hope for this game because, unlike most typing tutorials and all that, this is an actual proper game. Like Empty was like, shit, there's upgrades and stuff. I was like, yes, this is an actual proper game that you could play and enjoy, even as air quote adult. But until they sort it with that price, I don't think we can wholly recommend it.
Yeah, this game taught me about the Steam achievement comparison option that you have. This is how I know that Ven didn't get to the point that both me and Jordan did. It also taught me that even though my average typing speed is about 38 words per minute, I used to be better than that. Jordan's is 47. But while I managed to type 169 characters without making a mistake, Jordan couldn't get past 60.
Yeah, playing this game on drugs is fun, isn't it?
Yeah. So, did you honestly think that I was going to use my last words to say whether or not it'll be worth buying this game after it's fixed? Nah, yes. That's how I get my rocks off. Don't like it? Go orbit a black hole.
I mean, technically we are, because there's a supermassive black hole in the center of the galaxy, Pedro. Don't you know anything about science? Well, I know a thing or two about typing, apparently. As I've discovered, I am the fastest typist on LinuxGameCast. I honestly did not see that coming. And that's all I can say about this game. Other than don't buy it. Or, I mean, if you like typing games, if you're a fan of Typing of the Dead. Or if they actually manage to fix this, I would recommend picking it up if it gets on sale. Because as far as it goes, it's all right at best. But coming up next, Slexy is dead, so we've gone to posting hate mail on Imgur. We'll see how that turns out next.
If you're not watching us live, you just missed the ASMR interview.
Speak up, Pedro, I can hear you.
But hey, welcome to the hate mail. As usual, this is my personal favorite time of the show. It's when we get to talk to you guys. You guys shout in our direction, and we shout back at yours. You already know how to get in touch with us. LinuxGameCast.com, push the contact button. It's easy enough. You can also leave a comment on YouTube or ping us on Google Plus or Twitter. Chances are we'll find your stuff, and we'll talk about it. Right. So, Chloe had something to say this week.
Did you know? What was it, Pedro?
There we go.
Yeah. She said,
not Carl.
You guys remember that Minecraft clone someone was saying is better because open source, and how the and how the consensus was that kids are only going to realize if you don't tell them when they go to play it at home. I think even children will notice that this game looks even more hideous than Minecraft does. Like, this is making me want to play N64 games at the native resolution. And she actually included a screenshot, which you'll be able to find in the show notes, don't you worry. So, yeah, mind test. Doesn't look so good.
I mean, I'm almost positive that out there somewhere in the vast wilderness that is the interwebs, there's a high-res voxel mod for Mind Test. Nerds eat that shit up. I mean, hell, we just saw Doom release like a HD texture massive visual enhancement thing with the open source Doom back in the news segment. So I wouldn't honestly be surprised if they had something like that. Plus, everything's a mod, so you can make it yourself.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, we're just kind of drilling into, is it a good educational tool? Yes, absolutely. I mean, is it really good for, like, pulling the bait and switch on the chitlins? Like, no, not a good idea.
But, Chef, what would a priest want to stick up our butts?
I don't know, Carl.
Carl says, I got something weird when I tried to edit it, the user settings.txt,
Eat it.
and put it into OpenGL like you do. I save it, but when I open the game, it automatically put it back to D3D11. I put OpenGL everywhere, but I can't everywhere I can. But this is always going to be back to the D3D11. I can open the game, but I don't see the graphics, only the menu. Everything is black. The light is broken,
I guess what Carl was talking about, I think Pedro might know something about it, and that's the Elder Scrump Online.
Yep, the Elder Scrolls Online. I did a how-to with really terrible audio quality a while back. My bad on that one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Carl actually brings up a nice point, because the latest update for Elder Scrolls Online, which introduced the Thieves Guild, also removed the DX9, DX10, and OpenGL renderers for the Windows version of the game. Now, what does that have to do with Linux, you ask? Well, without at least DX9 and OpenGL renderers, you can't run the game under Wine currently. It's until Wine gets proper DX11 support, the game is currently unplayable on Linux. And from the looks of one of the threads I found on the Elder Scrolls Online forums, they basically nuked the OpenGL renderer on Windows on purpose so that Linux users could no longer play it through Wine.
I don't know, man. I might take you to task for that. I mean, a moderator in their forums, that doesn't necessarily mean they even work for them. What they said was curious, though. They said that OpenGL was only used as a workaround, and they nixed it because, and I quote, used too much memory on the Windows. The hell?
Please to be explaining that. That doesn't make any logical sense whatsoever. I need scissors,
right
61!
That right there tells you everything you need to know. Then it's a Bethesda published game, after all. It was developed by ZeniMax Online Studios and published by Bethesda. You want to know what the best part? They're going to implement DirectX 12 instead of Vulkan.
Well, here's something I want to ask you, J-Man. This is, I think, maybe a discussion in depth at a later time, but it is something that we probably should at least make a mention of, because this is one of the genuine dangers of playing a non-native Linux game via Wine, that, sometimes shit like this happens, man.
You know what? And if you brought this up in any other case of this, I would agree with you. But dropping a renderer support outright doesn't make any sense, considering I did a bit of reading on the thread too. They do have a Mac client which uses OpenGL.
It does.
So why would you get rid of it? Because you don't have to. It's not like DirectX or
they have the
DirectX 12 where you have to reproduce all this
their
code.
Argument
right?
is as shit as their argument it is. It's bulletproof. It was like, we have not and never intended to support Linux. So what's your issue?
That's true. And I mean, that also nukes several older versions of Windows who do not have DirectX 11 support, i.e. those clowns who are still on XP.
But speaking of which, there are a shit ton of Windows users currently pissed off at them because they basically broke compatibility with Windows 7 with this update as well. So either you update to Windows 8.
In this strange universe, I would have more sympathy for somebody running Windows XP versus Windows 7.
That's sort of weird. And on that bombshell,
Let's cue the music. You can always find us around 9:30 Eastern Moon Time. It's brilliant. Check us out. Subscribe to the Twitches. You'll get a little notification when we go live and we do this Nightmare Fuel. If you're watching on the YouTubes, leave us some comments in there. Tell us, how horrible we are and cut our lights up or anything like that. You can always find me at Vin Stone on the Twitter nets or just plus Vin Stone. On the G pluses, scream at me, I'll scream back at you almost 99% of the time.
I'm Jordan Svung. You can find me on Twitter at The Burning Pool or on Google Plus at plus Jordan Svung. And if you scream in my direction, I'll hide because I'm really, really awkward, you guys.
No, you wouldn't say. But I am Pedro Mateos. You can always find me at Unaccounted For on Twitter or plus Pedro Mateos on Google Plus. Hopefully not as tired as I am today.
Well, I guess the ultimate thing that we have learned this evening and taken away from it is Eon needs to port Elder Scrolls Online, right?
I thought it was that we need to learn how to type good.
And do other stuff.
Then you can't divide by 0. No, just stop. Okay? No.
Bring it,
Chuck
Cupcake.
Norris can.
How do you think the show started?
Chuck Norris
No,
around.
that would literally be dividing by 0 at that point.
Oh, no. Here's the story. They did it so Eon could port it to Linux.
Oof. 5 dudes.